For Tonya Harding and the movie about her,
it's never been entirely about the skating.
And you may be asking,
why can't it just be about the skating?
That's a good question, and unlike some, we're going to get into it.
Canada be damned. I'm going to the Klondike.
The Klondike is Canada.
Giorgio, you be doing just fine, brother.
It probably comes as no surprise, but I'm not really a fan of figure skating. And I say that because I'm a man. That's a sexist thing to say, and I'm sure some men watch it. Although I don't have the sports ratings breakdown before me, my hunch is that women probably make up the dominant viewership. To what extent they dominate it, that I won't speculate. I am a viewer of movies, however, and I think it says something about Craig Gillespie's 2017 Tonya Harding biopic, I, Tonya, that a film which revolves around the world of figure skating would prompt a non-fan to make a video on it. Just to be clear, this video is strictly focused on the film, yet there are aspects of the sport itself which are highlighted in the film that are worthy of scrutiny or praise.
Hey, how do I get a fair shot here? Because I'm up at 5 every morning working my ass off. Does someone want to just tell me to my face, you're never going to give me the scores I deserve?
This is how it's done. Some of these girls have paid their dues.
I don't give a shit. I outskated them today.
We also judge on presentation.
Like I said before, I, Tonya is a Tonya Harding biopic starring Margot Robbie, a film to showcase a segment of the controversial professional figure skater's life, both on and off the rink. From her rough childhood to her even rougher adulthood, I, Tonya fills in the blanks of what you may not know about Miss Harding. Interspliced with reenacted direct-to-camera interviews, shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, the film gives a multitude of accounts. So many of these accounts were a mixture of the truth, mistruths, and straight-up lies, it forced the filmmakers to make drastic changes to the initial plan, thereby altering the film's tone by keeping them in.
Bullshit. I mean, the FBI found this piece of paper in some random dumpster, supposedly in my handwriting with Nancy's training schedule or something on it.
I never hit her. That's not me. I'm actually a pretty meek guy. She hit me, cracked the wallet. Fired a gun at me, too.
This is bullshit. I never did this.
This is perhaps the most unusual and most fascinating aspect of I, Tonya. Typically, in a biopic, the tone adheres to expectations, and by doing so, the tone of a typical biopic feels, frankly, routine and sanctimonious, because it's clear the goal is more about getting an Oscar than telling someone's story. But I, Tonya completely turns the tables on what we usually think of when we think of biopics. And that's because the film plays with tone. On paper, the big events of Tonya Harding's story are anything but funny, yet the absurdity of how some events unfold, or how some characters are, naturally lend themselves to a comedic place.
Traveling internationally, I'm as resourceful as a lizard. My skills have been honed by years of infiltrating underground organizations.
I mean, we had no idea that something like this could be done by two of the biggest boobs in a story populated solely by boobs.
As you watch I, Tonya, it's easy to get conditioned to the film's comedy and absurdity, yet not so much so that it takes away from its serious moments. Its dramatic parts are both well written and well performed, and are surprisingly not undercut by the comedic elements. This is probably because I, Tonya's dramatic scenes are expertly honed and wisely infrequent, which helps drive home its dramatic potency.
Are you okay? Well, my skating career is over and I have no savings, and I ended up a waitress just like my mom. But on the plus side, I'm unskilled, so.
Was anything I did ever good enough for you?
You were soft.
At 3?
I made you a fighter. You never had a chance.
You fucked with my head. You made me think that I could skate best when my life was shit, and now my life is shit. You made that fucking real for me. I don't want that.
You would have picked it in a heartbeat. You should be thanking me, not blaming me.
From a filmmaking standpoint, what also has dramatic strength in I, Tonya is its figure skating sequences. You'd hope so when watching a movie about a figure skater, yet unlike a film like Blades of Glory where the skating itself is more of the focus, albeit more ludicrous, I, Tonya goes the extra mile by having its star actually putting in the work. Margot Robbie is undoubtedly doing the skating in I, Tonya, and it shows. This approach gives the cinematography the freedom to move the camera around more liberally, enhancing the intensity of the sport. Meanwhile, Robbie isn't limited to close-ups, while her double is covering the wide shots. It's quite admirable considering the amount of preparation Robbie must have gone through for a film with so little figure skating overall. Much like its moments of dramatic acting, I, Tonya's skating sequences never ceases to amaze because it subverts both the film's comedic overlay as well as what we expect to see when capturing skating on film. There are some byproducts of I, Tonya which play a smaller, less significant role in the grand scheme of the film. Nevertheless, I still feel they're worth a brief mention. For example, the classism in figure skating.
What does she need a fucking fur coat for? I don't have a fucking fur coat.
Because it's not just about skating. The judges want figure skaters to be...
Yeah, rich, prissy a-holes.
Well-rounded.
But my favorite, and less obvious one, is how I, Tonya depicts the late 80s and early 90s through its aesthetics. Nothing drives me more crazy in period pieces than when iconic era aesthetics are shoved in the audience's face to remind them of the decade they're watching. Nowhere in I, Tonya do any of the characters wear leg warmers or scrunchies while fiddling with a Rubik's Cube or troll doll. The aesthetics are appropriate for the time and are shockingly just as I remember them. Again, it may not be flashy, but ironically it's something which drew my attention, which I think more period pieces should follow suit. To say that I, Tonya is a mixed bag is perhaps putting it lightly. The same could be said for all the things I've covered here. Maybe you're familiar with Tonya Harding, figure skating, both, or neither. For some who are familiar, they feel passionate about her and her story. Regardless of which side of that fence you fall on, I, Tonya is an astonishing film, especially in how it threads the needle between comedy and drama, fact and fiction, and the choices it makes throughout.